light 'em up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the home of Fan First Sports Debate, Light 'em Up, live here on Twitter Spaces, hosted by yours truly, Live with Data. And I'm pleased to be joined by my fellow co-producer, Patrick Rush. And we are back at it again with another trio of excellent debates where we're going to be touching on the Summer Olympics. We're going to be doing the best moment of the NBA season that just wrapped up. And we also have a debate on, let me go to my notes here, Olympics in the NFL. We're doing the Olympics. We're doing the NFL as well, determining whether or not the Jets or the Ravens will win more games between those two teams. So a great trio of debates tonight, an awesome roster of debaters, including one who is doing double duty to start, and that might be a double entendre there, but pulling a double duty tonight. Mr. Matt Siriani, who is joined by RC Milton, getting our show kicked off tonight. So I want to thank you two gentlemen for getting us started today, this evening. And yeah, before I actually get into our first debate, just a quick rundown of the rules for the show, kind of how we do things here. If this is the first time you're listening to Light 'em Up, the format is like this: we have we have a opening statement segment, 2 minutes from each debater, kind of laying out their argument. Then we have an 8-minute crossfire segment where we encourage both debaters to light each other up and debate their stances. And then we have 2-minute closing statements, followed by 2 minutes of voting. And then we move on to the next contest. So without any further ado, let's get into our first contest between RC Milton and Matt Siriani, which will be, again, let me get these notes up here, which will be on the best U.S. city to host the Summer Olympics that is not done yet. That is not done so yet. And Matt, I have you with Miami, Florida. And yep. RC, I have you with Boston, Massachusetts.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Siriani, since you're pulling double duty tonight, you will get to decide if you want to open or defer.
I'm gonna give I'm gonna give the floor to the most geographically convenient man of the two. That's RC. I'll let him start.
All right, RC, the floor is yours, my man. 2-minute opening statement starts now.
Is there any bigger event than the Olympic Games? How can there be? It's reported that 206 countries participated in the Rio Olympics of 2016 and the Tokyo Olympics held in 2021. As many as 11,000 athletes took part in Tokyo, and that doesn't include coaches and officials. In the United States, a number of cities have hosted the Summer Olympics. 1904 had the games in the Show Me state of Missouri and in St. Louis. The Centennial Games were in Atlanta, Georgia in 1996. And Los Angeles played host in 1932, 1984, and will be host in 2028. Who knows what those games will look like in 2028, but there's a lot to choose from with regards to recognizable American cities who can host the Olympic Games for the first time. Or is there? Stadiums have to be built, travel infrastructure has to be expanded, let alone housing for these visitors to sleep. Not sure why a city, state, or country would invest so much in a 2-week event, but based on the current infrastructure alone, how can you go wrong with Boston, Massachusetts? The Charles River is home to the head of the Charles Regatta since 1965, which is also home to Harvard University. WTA and ATP tennis events have taken place in the area in the past. Don't forget TD Garden, home to the Bruins and Celtics, let alone Gillette Stadium, who could easily host track and field events, as well as the opening and closing ceremonies. Plus the fact we are talking about Boston and possibly going to neighboring states like New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maine, or dare I say New York. Reminder that the Centennial Games in Atlanta were not only restricted to the state of Georgia, but the White Water rafting event was held in Kentucky. Is Boston a world-class city? Maybe not in the traditional sense, but in a sports tradition, it is unmatched. And if the U.S. Olympic Committee is looking for a town to host the games for the first time, look no further than Boston, Massachusetts. I concede my time.
Thank you, RC. Matt, you can come off of mute, and your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
So it's no question about the Olympic Games are the biggest sporting event in every 4 years. It is no competition. But if there is one geographic location that has to stand out from every single biggest U.S. city in the world, it's got to be the land of the 305. I'm talking Miami, Florida. A city that's hosted 11 Super Bowls, more than any other city in the U.S. It's hosted WrestleMania 28 back in 2012. It has been one of the biggest international geographically convenient areas in the United States. And on top of that, it will also be hosting the Olympics pretty soon. And the reason why is because it's one of the most internationally friendly and vibrant areas in the United States. You could talk about the Latino population, the Cuban population, Dominican Republic population, and Puerto Rican population is very friendly to every single geographic you can name. So why not have 206 different nationalities in Miami, Florida to travel to this event? Especially because the 305, there's sunshine, there's bars, there's golf courses, there's everything you can in Miami to invest in the Olympics. The hotels wouldn't be a problem. And on top of that, Miami has no taxes. So it wouldn't be a financial and Miami would be one of the more, there would be no anything.
Matt, I think I'm gonna pause your time and you're breaking up for a second there. Okay, try again now.
Miami is a big area, fourth biggest area in the United States of America, period. And I can only see that it'd be fitting that an area that large could host an event so big like the Olympics because of everything I stated and the international convenience. I can see my time.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. You're both off mute. And before we get started, just a friendly reminder that if you hear any funny one-liners, anything that you want to chime in on during this debate, drop those tweets in there as part of drop your tweets, drop your thoughts. Love to hear from you guys. So, with that being said, gentlemen, your 8-minute crossfire segment starts now. Light them up.
So Miami, Florida is one of the more prestigious areas in the United States because it's hosted so many awesome events. While Boston is an amazing sports area, it has a lot of sports prestige. Why would you really consider it an area for the Olympics, especially because it's in the Northeast? The Northeast doesn't really have the best type of weather, and the landscape is just nothing really too appealing for anyone outside of the United States to go to.
Boston has a way more favorable temperature and climate in the summertime than Miami. Florida people, the residents of Florida, look to stay indoors because it's that sweltering hot. And also, you're talking about the Super Bowl and WrestleMania. Those are one-day events. Okay, you could talk about the fact that maybe the Super Bowl is stretched out over a week, but you're talking about one sport.
Well, the thing is, like, if you can host an event, the temperatures would be perfect. I know it would be sweltering hot, but that's why you supply a bunch of water for events like this. And like I said before, it's geographically convenient. I mean, there's a bunch of Latinos there, there's a bunch of Cubans, a bunch of Puerto Ricans, a bunch of Dominicans, a bunch of people from different nationalities in different countries who go to the city of Miami to go there and have fun and do what they can, and ultimately just invest in their time. And
you would concede, Matt, that there's a lot more diversity in the Northeast, number one. Also, the fact of my home and native land of Canada, and with the fact that Europe is where it is it comparable to go from England and Spain to Miami to Boston? Maybe those are comparable, but with the fact is that the sporting infrastructure and the sports appetite is way more palatable, way more present in Boston. I mean, take a look at the sports landscape in Miami. The Miami Heat and those fans, especially those who go into Gucci Row, are only there to be seen. They're not there to cheer their team. And as sports fans, we all know that.
Well, see, Miami, the reason why.
Sorry, Matt, you're breaking up. Sorry, don't mean to.
No. I was just about to chime in. You are breaking up there a little bit, Matt.
All right.
Keep going. Go ahead.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. So listen,
yep,
I know Miami sports fans are not the most enthusiastic about their sports teams, but just because they aren't enthusiastic about their sports teams doesn't mean they get hyped for events like WrestleMania and the Super Bowl, especially when you consider things like, the geographic area. Like, the hotels there are amazing. The beaches are amazing. You can have swimming concerts on the beach. You can have rugby in Hard Rock Stadium. You can have golf events, golf tournaments on the golf course in Miami. You can have beach volleyball on the beaches.
You're not going to have rugby and those field events with like soccer. You're not going to have that in Hard Rock Stadium. Those will be for the opening and closing ceremonies. Those would be a lot more ideal at Gillette Stadium. I mean, Hard Rock Stadium is an eyesore. So, as we know, the International Olympic Committee are very, very particular wanting to having the newest, shiniest toys. Also, take a look at the history of the Miami Heat. More or less a perennial favorite to win the championship, especially during the times of LeBron. And they don't have that hardcore fan base. How are you going to have skeet shooting? How are you going to have the surfing events? The surfing events that might be a little different. However, there's a lot of niche sport that Miami fans will never get up for. I mean, with Boston and especially with the Ivy League and UMass and all those other schools in the New England area, UConn and Connecticut, they have a history with those type of events. Lacrosse, you could talk about rugby. They have the appetite. They have the determination, like the passion to follow these niche events that we only care about during the Olympics. No chance Miami will get up for that.
Miami can easily construct their way into what they need to do. They can easily do that. They have the infrastructure. They have the money to do so. They can easily put things together. They can easily draw a crowd, especially in Miami where it's right by the water.
It hasn't happened.
Let me step in here. We got about 3:15 to go here, and I want to talk about infrastructure. You guys have kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think that's probably going to be the key thing for any U.S. city. And when I think of Miami and Boston, something that stands out is the public transportation infrastructure. And I just think, I mean, and I would love to hear from you about this, Matt, but I just know with Boston, there's a far more robust public transportation system than there is in Miami. And if you're talking about getting to and from these events, especially across the region, how do you think Miami's going to be able to make that happen, even in the run up leading to the Olympics?
Well, one thing that Miami can do is they can step up with their infrastructure and actually make more transportation, make Ubers cheaper, make Lyfts cheaper.
In Miami? No chance making anything cheaper. Forget it. I'm thinking that the Miami Transit's going to have to be made by Ferrari. I mean, please go ahead.
Well, we'll see with Miami. I know there's a lot of crazy things going on with the transportation, and the transportation system isn't the most robust and the most convenient. But one thing that you could do is you could easily just try to nip up the prices a little bit or nip it down, whatever is more convenient for people. Then make it more enticing for people to take it. And ultimately, on top of that, Miami, it's not that big of a it's a huge state. It's a huge state. 67 counties. But Miami-Dade is right by the water. Traveling there wouldn't be hard by plane for any other country, especially because it's right by the water. As far as for people in Miami who live in Broward County, in Palm Beach County, yes, they would have to step up their train game a little bit and actually make an effort to try and make the trains convenient for everyone. But at the same time, Miami is just one of those cities that's just more convenient for a lot of people. It's the biggest destination.
There is no, how difficult is it really to get to Boston? I mean, take a look at Europe. I mean, they're pretty much comparable. Dare I say, easier to get to Boston because it's that much closer to the Englands and the western part of Europe. Miami's that much more south. I mean, I'm not a pilot or an aviation expert, but you have to think that Boston is that much easier. Also, the fact that I don't know this 100% for sure, but you'd have to think that there isn't a heck of a lot of space to build new stadia in Miami, but you could spread everything out throughout Massachusetts. I mean, you're going to have to go up. Maybe there might be a little bit of space in northern Florida and in Jacksonville area, but I mean that remains to be seen. And also the fact that when you think about Miami, you think about glitz and glamour. You do not think about sports. I mean, Miami, Boston, those are from a local perspective, Miami locals will not get up for the niche sports that the Olympics are involved in.
Well, the Olympics are not really about. Well, it's not about the sports that the city that's most prestigious sports-wise. It's about the best enticing destination for an Olympic Games. And Miami, sunshine and everything else. It's perfect for a summer day. And I know it's going to be really hot, but at the same time, you also have to invest in the fact that it's going to be the go-to destination and a very, very enticing place for a lot of people to go to, especially for people outside the United States.
I got to stop it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for that great crossfire segment. RC, I'm going to ask you on mute. And Matt, you can start your 2-minute closing statement now.
All right, so Miami, Florida, yes, there's a lot of challenges with the heat and transportation and commuting and robust infrastructure. But Miami could literally up their game in a lot of ways because they have the money to do so and the finances to even make things happen. Miami is a great sports destination. It might not be the best sports city fan-wise, but it's definitely one of those cities that can absolutely draw a crowd because we've seen that happen at WrestleMania. They've hosted 11 Super Bowls. I mean, for God's sake, no other city's hosted more Super Bowls than Miami. So why would you want to say that Miami is not the best sports area to gather for an Olympics for 2.5, 3 weeks when it's clearly obvious that draws a crowd, and a lot of people love to travel to the 305 simply because of the fact that it's just convenient for a lot of people, especially because in a big state like Florida, where a lot of people from Dominican, Cuban, a lot of areas from outside that are international, and the fourth largest metro area in the country. It's convenient for a lot of people. You can have Pitbull performing in Miami, for God's sake. It just makes a lot of sense. And ultimately, Miami, Florida, best county in the country for a lot of international people, and it works out. I can see my time.
All right. Thank you, Matt. RC, your 2 minutes starts now.
Goes without saying, Miami is one of those go-to destinations in North America, dare I say the world. A thriving nightlife, an affluent population, and a formidable sports tradition, and ideal weather during the autumn and winter. People avoid the outdoors in Florida during the summer, and the fact you want to have these games in that oven is not ideal. Also, it is a clear fact Boston sports history is way more prominent. The Red Sox, the Bruins, the Patriots, the Celtics, not to mention the NCAA and Ivy League, who can easily host events we only care about during the Olympics. Sure, Miami has a decent collegiate sports presence, but their pro teams doesn't even meet the level of sports fanaticism to the Northeast. Maybe the Dolphins, but as we know, Hard Rock Stadium, which is home to said Dolphins, will be laughed at by the IOC if organizers even think about having any ceremonies, let alone track and field, at that venue. For 17 days, the Olympics is always the top of the list for the world as a big sporting event in the world. But as we know, sports fans in that community, especially who could afford tickets, have better things to do. Look at Atlanta. Look at Salt Lake City. Look at London. They are sports-rich cities at which their residents especially took to the Olympics as the one and only. The Olympics strives to be the number one show when their games begin, and Miami has better things to do. I concede my time.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for that great debate. To the listening audience, it is now your chance to chime in here and vote on who you believe won our opening contest tonight. So Patrick has put up here on the Jumbotron here on Twitter Spaces tonight's voting link. You would be so kind to click on that and cast your votes within the next 2 minutes, starting now.
And David, just to confirm, Matt and I are able to vote as well?
That is correct.
Okay.
We are not.
You are allowed to vote for yourselves because
I
now hide.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, because I hide the results. You can't see who's winning or losing.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so voting is underway. Okay, yeah, I see votes trickling in. Awesome. All
right, Matt, thank you so much, man.
No problem. Hey, listen, I'm glad we actually finally got to do something that's not being held back. We finally got to communicate and do something together, RC.
Yeah. No, definitely. Love to chop it up one of these days. Get some discussion on our podcast. It'd be a good time. We'll definitely get something together.
I would love to do a podcast with you, man. Like after the show, let's talk.
No, most definitely. No, I'll definitely send you a note, and I'd love to have you come on.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, look at that sportsmanship. Love to see you here on Light 'em Up.
Oh, by the way, greetings from Buffalo, New York. I'm actually on your side of the border. I'm actually here for work, and
nice.
I'm not. I'm in a foreign land. I'm in today.
About 30 seconds left to go in voting. Still see some people trickling in, so cool. Glad to see it.
I mean, listen, Mr. 305 in the 305. I mean, that's enticing.
Yeah, Mr. 305 has a show to do, and they're going to avoid all the sporting events.
All right, that concedes the voting here, and with 71% of the vote, our winner is Mr. RC of Boston, Massachusetts.
Good debate, man. Good debate.
Congratulations,
thank you, man. Same to yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. David, thank you so much, as always, my friend.
Yep, it's a pleasure.
Light 'em up.
All right, so excellent first debate in the books. We now move on to our second contest, which will be on which NFL team will win more games this season: Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Man, that sounds weird to say, even still. Or Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I have Brett arguing for the Ravens, and then I have Matt. I got you arguing for the Jets.
That is correct?
Okay. All right, Matt. Again, since you're pulling double duty, again, you get to choose if you want to start or defer. What do you choose?
Well, last time I chose to defer. I'm going to start this time.
Okay. Awesome. Well, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
Jets. Jets used to stand for just end the season. Now, I don't know what it stands for with JETS. But one thing I can tell you is the Jets are going to win more games this year than the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason why is because they got that bad man Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And he's got already a lot of faith in a guy like Garrett Wilson, in a guy like Alan Lazard coming over from Green Bay. He's got a lot of faith in Breece Hall coming back. He's got a lot of faith in the defense this year. The Jets have a lot of key pieces that they didn't have that they had last year, but they just did not have the quarterback position correct. Now this time around, they got the guy that they wanted, who Zach Wilson can learn under, and the Jets have a fairly easy schedule. I know they play the AFC East twice each, so that's 6 games. But you got the NFC East, which isn't that strong, and you also got a very competitive AFC in general. But ultimately, if you ask who has the matchup, who wins the toss between these two teams, who are somewhat fairly weakened on both sides, the Jets are stronger because they got the better defense, the better quarterback, the better running back, and definitely the better receiving core. The Ravens haven't had a Pro Bowl receiver in 25 years, may I remind you. But one thing I can tell you is the New York Jets, with that Batman Rodgers, will be awesome this year, and they will win at least 12 games this year. I can see my time.
All right. Coming out the gate feisty there. Okay. Brett, my favorite Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
Yeah, as Zach just said in the chat, he did not expect to be going for the Ravens. And those of you that know me as a Steelers fan, it might be surprising that I am arguing for the Ravens. But with that being said, I do believe that they will finish with a better record this year than the Jets. This is due to an abundance of reasons, such as the Ravens having an easier schedule. They get to play against the Colts, the Titans, the Texans. That could be 3 rookie quarterbacks right there. That's 3 easy wins. And then also, the Jets have a quarterback that isn't getting any younger and who is in his first season with a new team. So we don't really know how Rodgers is going to perform. Plus, this season, Lamar Jackson will have the best group of pass catchers that he has had in his entire career with new weapons such as Odell and Zay Flowers. And he will also have a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, who just led Georgia to the national championship and won back-to-back years, who will open it up more for Lamar. And the Ravens also have a more dominant defense, as they ranked in the top 5 last year in every major statistical category. And shout out to special teams as well with the Ravens. They got the best kicker of all time in Justin Tucker. And let's also mention that Lamar has a top 5 QB record of all time with a record of 45-16, which he will add to this season when he wins more games than the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets. I'll concede my time.
All right. Short and sweet openers. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for those opening statements. We'll go ahead and go into the crossfire segment, and I'll open things up here. I heard. Let me make sure I got this right. So, Matt, you're saying that the Jets will win 12 games, so that'll be 5 more than they won last year.
That is correct. I said 12 games.
Okay. Brett, your Ravens, well, not your Ravens, but the Ravens went 10-7 last season. How many games are you expecting them to win this year? More than 12?
I don't think the Jets are going to quite win 12, but if that's what Matt's saying, I'll say the Ravens will win 13. Why not?
Okay. All right, I just want to set the stage for that. Okay, 8-minute crossfire. Light them up.
All right, 13 games. Oh, my goodness. You're shooting the far high here for the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, Lamar Jackson just got paid. He's going with another offensive coordinator. He's had a lot of offensive coordinators over the course of his career, and I know he's younger. He's got the durability. He's got the athleticism, and I know all that. But you got Zay Flowers, who's a rookie in the NFL. You got Odell Beckham Jr., who's never worked with Lamar Jackson before. How can this receiving core for the Baltimore Ravens be good right out of the gate, especially because Lamar Jackson isn't exactly the best passer in the NFL today?
Well, personally, I think he has a top 5 arm, and he has done work in the past with Odell, like in the offseason and stuff. I don't know, Zay Flowers, I think he's going to be a stud, come in right away and do good things. How about Aaron Rodgers? How is he going to maneuver this year with Nathaniel Hackett as his offensive coordinator, who didn't even last a full season last year with Russell Wilson?
Well, you got to remember, it was all about the quarterback and who he had. Nathaniel Hackett with Aaron Rodgers, 2 MVP awards back-to-back. Russell Wilson was a different caliber quarterback. It's a completely different situation, and also head coaching role is different than an offensive coordinator role. So Nathaniel Hackett is comfortable where he is, right in his wheelhouse, with the guy that he knows very well, a guy that he's had success with, a guy that has had multiple success in the past, who's itching for a Super Bowl title. Ultimately, both parties have the same goal in mind: win the Super Bowl to etch both their legacies and actually end droughts. This is the thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is hungry for a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson's happy he got paid. This is a completely different scenario here. One's career is coming towards an end, and one is just starting to see where everything goes in a building process. This is something completely different. Like, these guys are, this is a more need for sense of urgency for the Jets. That's why I think they're going to win more games, and they're going to torch the league. I wouldn't be surprised even if the Jets even win the AFC East, given how competitive the division is.
Yeah, that is a really hard division. How about the Jets have a line? Who's going to block for Rodgers? They were like 28th in the league last year or something. The Ravens were like 2nd.
Well, the blocking scheme could be better for the New York Jets. I will remind that. But one thing that I can tell you is the offensive prowess of the New York Jets. We already saw Aaron Rodgers praising Garrett Wilson as the next Devontae Adams, kind of. So it really just all comes down to the playmakers, the skill position players that you have. The Ravens go through a factory of running backs every day. The Jets are going to get Breece Hall back. That's a big plus for their offense, especially with what Breece Hall was able to do in the first half of last year. It's a big boost. And also, Breece Hall and everyone in that Jets locker room is excited that Aaron Rodgers is here because he adds a different dimension and a different enthusiasm than Zach Wilson had. And also, for benefit for the future, Zach Wilson can sit behind Aaron Rodgers and learn for a year or two. And I know it's not a long-term thing. It's all about this season. But all I'm saying is this season, Aaron Rodgers has a lot coming this year. I think the Jets are going to do very, very well. I think he's going to play well in primetime games. I think the Jets are going to play very well defensively, especially with Sauce Gardner leading the way for that defense. The pass rush is good. I think the Jets check all the boxes. I really think they do.
We don't even know if Breece Hall is healthy yet for next season. I heard that's just the head coach trying to say that just to, Anyways, well, who do they really have after Garrett Wilson? Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. Those are Aaron Rodgers' old buddies up in Green Bay. We don't know if they're going to succeed here in New York.
Well, if the offensive prowess is not that great, what about the defensive prowess? They got a lot of guys in the pass rush. They got Sauce Gardner on the defense. Yes, their offensive line could be better, but that defensive front for the Jets is very strong and very overpowering. That secondary for the Jets, despite Sauce Gardner, is very, very strong. They ranked top 5 in defense last year. I think they ranked number 4 and number 3 in defense last year. So why can't they keep it up? Why can't they stay that high? They're really good. Plus, the Jets have a defensive philosophy with a defensive-minded head coach in Robert Saleh, might I add.
Well, how are they going to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm looking here at the records for the Jets. They haven't made the playoffs since 2010 when Rex Ryan was their coach, and there's a lot of either last place or next to last place finishes in there, and it just seems like a lot has to go right in order for this Jets team to really succeed. And I just worry about how Aaron Rodgers being in this, that New York media market where they're ruthless. I don't think he'll be able to just tell those fans RELAX and everything's going to be fine. So I guess, Matt, what really do you really think that the driving factor, just being Aaron Rodgers, is going to really turn things around, get them those 5 games and a wild card, or maybe even taking the division? Do you really put a lot of stock in Aaron Rodgers?
39 years old, by the way.
Well, the stock exchange is going to go higher with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I mean, listen, he's already toured the New York market. He's going to Ranger.
Oh, that's an accident. My bad.
Okay, let's reset there. All good, Patrick. Matt, I think you were speaking.
Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers is going to Ranger games, Jet games, Knick games. He's going to a lot of New York sporting events, and he knows exactly what kind of culture this is. He even said in his press conference, this culture is a very hungry, thirsty culture for winning. And the Jets and the New York franchise has not had a team that has won the Super Bowl since the Giants did in 2011. And the Jets haven't won the Super Bowl since 1968, for God's sakes. So the Jets are very thirsty. They both have an edge to win, and that's what makes teams great. If you have a thirst to win and an energy enticing enough for the fans, it will stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers has to stay healthy. That's the number one important thing, but I think he could do that. He's been durable in the past. He's played through injury before. He's capable. Lamar is very, very, very fragile sometimes. He missed a lot of games last year due to injury.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to go to Brett with a similar question. They say the best ability is availability, and Lamar Jackson. Okay, he's healthy now, and he got paid now. What's next? You guys, they've made a couple of runs in the playoffs, but have some, haven't really been able to make it to to the Super Bowl or anything. What do you think is going to change, or what do you think needs to change for that to happen?
Oh, I think the new offensive coordinator will bring a lot to the table, and plus, if Lamar stays healthy, I think this team can probably win the division. I mean, last year Lamar went 8-4 with a bunch of nobodies catching the ball for him. Who do you have? James Prochet. This year he's got OBJ and Zay. I can block for him, and he can just stay healthy. I think they can go far.
Well, listen, with all the top, availability is the best ability. I mean, listen, Lamar Jackson has been injured. The Ravens have a running back factory. They go through a lot of players and teams. And for all I know, Tyler Huntley's probably waiting in the wings just in case Lamar Jackson breaks his neck. And probably Lamar Jackson might get hurt because he's had the history in the past ever since his MVP season. It's possible. Things happen. But Lamar Jackson's more fragile at this stage of his career, especially because the mobile quarterbacks tend to get hurt more because they put their bodies on the line more. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to do that.
I would say Aaron Rodgers is pretty fragile at this point in his career, though, too, being 39, and he's had a troubled injury past as well. Broke his collarbone before. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, but
is he going to be able to take hits too much longer with that weak O line that ain't going to block for him?
Yeah, he absolutely can. He's proven that he can do that. He played through calf injuries last year. He's the guy that can absolutely do whatever he needs to do to win. And that's what Aaron Rodgers does. I know at 39 years old, it's a lot to ask, but it'll pan out better than Brett Favre did. Brett Favre was very, very fragile. He played injured, and it didn't work. Aaron Rodgers is a completely different animal than Brett Favre.
To be fair, though, I think a lot of people right now are not necessarily comparing Aaron Rodgers to Brett Favre, but maybe Tom Brady in terms of extending their career. What do you think?
I mean, that's a good comparison. I mean, I know Tom Brady's 43 and he's the GOAT for a reason, 7 Super Bowls. But the difference between this and Brady is the fact that Brady was given a lot of talent. The Jets, same thing. But the Jets are young and they're thirsty to win. And so is Aaron Rodgers. He's looking to prove his legacy in this game of the NFL. And I think that Lamar Jackson got his money and he's going to take a step back this year, if anything, because the AFC North is such a competitive division.
All right, and I got to end it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for that great crossfire segment. Brett, your 2-minute closing statement starts now.
All right. The reason why the Ravens will win more games than the Jets this year is due to the fact that they are a more complete team. They have a top 5 O-line, a top 5 defense, and a top 5 quarterback who just got paid, who just got a new offensive coordinator, who just got new weapons. He's going to be awesome this year. Plus, you look at the strength of schedule for the Ravens. They have at least 3 games that are gimmies in the whole AFC South pretty much, and then I'd say they can take 1 of 2 from each of the Browns, Bengals, and Steelers. The AFC East, though, on the other hand, is a much more competitive division with teams like the Dolphins, the Bills, the Patriots. I could see all those teams in that division being playoff contenders. Then you look at the Jets, they have Nathaniel Hackett as their OC, who did not really have much success last year with what he's going to be capable of. Rodgers, and then who do they really have after Garrett Wilson as weapons? I'm not even sure who their tight end is off the top of my head. Tyler Conklin. Baltimore, they have a top 5 tight end.
1 minute.
Mark Andrews, and also a breakout candidate this year in Isaiah Likely. I'm looking for him to do great things this year. And I'll concede there.
All right, thank you, Brett. Matt, 2 minutes start now.
Okay, so the reason why the Jets are going to win more games is because simply they have a lot to offer. They're young, they're fun, they're entertaining, they have an edge to win, they're thirsty, they drafted really well over the last couple of years, and now you bring Aaron Rodgers in the mix who only wants to win, and the Packers couldn't supply him with the talent to do so. It makes the most sense why the Jets are going to win more games than the Baltimore Ravens do. Not because of what they lack, but because their strength that they finally got, the quarterback position. I know their offensive line isn't the best, but ultimately, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who can make things work for the New York Jets, ultimately it's going to pan out. Yes, it's a big ask for a guy who's 39 years old, who's probably going to try and go 45 years old, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case. But the bottom line is the Jets are in a much better position now than they were in last year, especially with Zach Wilson at the quarterback and Mike White and Joe Flacco. They got one guy who they can rely on, and they got Nathaniel Hackett who can make things happen as an offensive coordinator. Like I said, sometimes the best offensive coordinators do not make good head coaches, and that was the same thing here. But one thing I will guarantee you is the Jets have a bunch of talent, and they're going to use it to their advantage. Robert Saleh is in the hot seat this year. He needs to perform well. There's no choice or else he's gone. So motivation is key here for the Jets.
1 minute.
Aaron Rodgers has a lot to offer. Robert Saleh has a lot to offer. Everyone's the job is at stake here if things go wrong. But ultimately, I think it'll be a Broadway hit. I can see my time.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And that'll wrap up that debate. And then now I will turn it over to our listening audience to vote. So, again, we have a pin here in the chat. Here in Twitter Spaces, our voting link. So please click on that at this time. The poll is open for the next 2 minutes. And a reminder, Brett and Matt, you two can vote for yourselves.
Oh, boy.
All right, sounds good. That was a fun one, man. GG.
Hey, listen, good one to you, too. Are you a rookie at this?
No.
This is my 3rd one. And
your 3rd one?
Actually, in one of the other ones, I argued for the Ravens, too, which is kind of hilarious.
And you're a Steelers fan, right?
Yep.
Oh, my God. This must be agonizing for you.
Yeah.
You know, I can applaud you being able to just debate the merit of another team and not let your fandom for especially for a team in your division get in the way of that. That takes a lot of That takes a lot.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts. Hey, listen, I applaud you for that. I really do. Hey,
I did that before when I debated in favor of Evan Mobley. I don't like the Cavs. I swept my Pistons so many times.
Are you a Jets fan?
Oh no, I'm a Giants fan. I'm the other.
Oh,
that's right. That's right.
interesting.
Oh, you guys, yeah, you really did.
That's really dedicated.
Yeah, you put your allegiances aside
That's a
for the
crosstown
great, for a
brother,
debate.
Yeah.
That can be good debating, though.
Hey, listen,
It is, yeah.
argue for
It
opposing
is.
teams and not keep your bias in there. It makes for good debates.
for sure.
I gotta let the voting finish.
RC Milton said Brett has to wear a Ravens jersey if he loses. Lol.
Oh, by the way, Brett, I've been all over the place over the last 40 minutes. I've been in bathrooms, I've been in hallways, I've been outside, now I'm in a car. I'm all over the place.
Please tell me
I
you're
hear
not
that
driving.
background noise.
Are you driving?
No, I'm in the back seat.
Oh, okay. That's fantastic. I admire the dedication. We had somebody on the show a while back that was commuting on their way back from work, and they were debating, and I'm just like, it's not that serious. I promise you. I'm not paying anybody to come on the show. Like, we don't need y'all risking yourselves to come on the show. We appreciate the support. About 30 seconds left here in voting. I think it's starting to slow down a bit though, but 30 seconds left. We'll let it run its course. Check out the comments here. Oh, you got RC's tweet about Brett. Yeah, Brett has to wear a Ravens jersey.
I don't know about that one.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Jake, that was you. I did think you were driving the last time. That's right. That's right.
I'm a crazy, crazy guy. I can do anything to do just to get on the show, and that's.
Oh, we loved enthusiasm.
We do.
do.
Okay, so we have a tie.
No. No.
Oh.
You both have to wear jerseys of these teams now.
All right,
yes,
fine.
we have a tie. 50% of the vote. So, hey, it is what it is. I think again that goes to show how strong of a debate this was. I personally torn on this. Usually, I'll come into some of these debates. I'm like, okay, I got a good idea where it's going to go. I had no clue. So, thank you both for a great debate.
Light 'em up.
All right, so that's 2 contests now, 1 more to go, and to close us out, we have the battle of the roommates. We have Jake and Justin, who are dorm mates, closing out our show, debating the best NBA moment of the 22-23 season. These two have kept their cards so close to the chest that I don't even know what their stances are for this debate. Gentlemen, are you actually both in the same room right now doing?
We are not. We're actually school's out, so we're at home. He's in.
No, but come
I'm in
August,
New York.
we will be in the same room with 6 other people. So
Yes, we
it'll
will.
about go crazy.
Yes, we will. That'll be interesting.
I need the live reactions. Definitely, let's do that in August. I need live reactions of your friends hearing everyone going back and forth, and have them tune in so they can vote and stuff.
Yes,
we
sir.
We definitely will.
But cool. Okay, so you're not in the same room. So at least this won't be as chippy. You don't have to worry about no blows being thrown depending on the outcome of this debate. Okay, so let's see here. Jake comes before Justin. So Jake, I'll go to you first. What is your stance? Let's go with your stance first. What was the best NBA moment of this season?
The best NBA moment was the Denver Nuggets winning their first championship in team history after 47 years.
Okay. All right. And Justin, what is yours? Hopefully it's not the same.
No,
thing.
mine is actually the Sacramento Kings clinching the playoffs for the first time in about 20 years.
Okay. Let me just update the poll.
I can't wait for this one.
Neither can I. Make playoffs in 20 years. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So awesome. So again, Jake comes before Justin in the alphabet. Yes, I know my alphabet. So Jake, you get to decide if you want to open or defer. What do you choose, my friend?
I'll open. I'll go first. I'll take the last closing statement. I'll open this thing up.
Okay. Well, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
All right. So the Denver Nuggets winning their first championship in team history. They waited 47 years. Is the best moment of the 2023 NBA season. Just you saw the crowd in Game 5 when they won. It was absolutely electric. So many great stories in my team from Jamal Murray. You know, being really depressed after he tore his ACL a couple of years ago. He felt Denver was going to trade him, and the whole story of Mike Malone saying, the head coach saying, no, we're not going to trade you, and then helping him get back, and he had an incredible year this year, incredible postseason from Jeff Green. a guy who doesn't really show up in the stat sheet, but is a really good leader for that team, a guy who's had some heart problems in the past and still been able to have a really long career. He gets his championship ring. Bruce Brown, who, I didn't even realize was in the league until the postseason, just hitting clutch 3 after clutch 3. And Aaron Gordon, he locked up Karl-Anthony Towns, he locked up Kevin Durant, he locked up LeBron James throughout the postseason, hit some big threes in the finals. Their owner, Stan Kroenke, has now won 4 championships in the last year. He also owns the Colorado Avalanche, the Rams, and some lacrosse team. Coach Malone and his fire, he called out his team a couple of times and it worked. He called out LeBron and the Lakers after sweeping them. And of course, Nikola Jokic, just an incredible performance, 30 and 14 in the 5-game final. Was Finals MVP, was the Western Conference MVP, was absolutely incredible. You saw all the photos and videos of him just, you see everyone usually when they win a championship, they're crying, they're so happy. He's just standing there and chilling. He doesn't want to go to the parade. He wants to go home and see his horses. What a guy. What a legend. People didn't believe in him. He was the 41st pick in the draft. He was some fat kid out of Serbia, and now he's the league's best player. He's won 2 MVPs in the last 3 years. Now he's got a ring and a Finals MVP. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you for that, Jake. Justin, your 2-minute opening statement starts now.
All right. So one very important piece of sports is an underdog story. Let's face it, think about all these great movies that are out there. Rocky, Bad News Bears, Rudy. By the way, if you didn't cry during Rudy, you're heartless. But anyway, when you look at a true underdog story, I can't really think of anyone other than the Sacramento Kings finally clinching the playoffs since about 17 years. Let me just set the stage for you real quick. The Sacramento Kings, the last time they made the playoffs, Ron Artest was still named Ron Artest. The YouTube wasn't even out yet. Twitter was just founded, which is what this show is on, really. And even though they were a first-round exit, the Kings, the amount of fans that they had, not even just in Golden One Center, but people who weren't even fans of them, who aren't even dire fans of them like myself, who's a Heat fan, was rooting for this team because this was a team for the longest time was just made fun of. They were considered an easy win, and now they're not anymore. They are finally making progress. It's such a great thing to see. I know we're on a show called Light It Up, but I say light the beam. I concede my time.
That might be a contender for the show. For the show title.
Justin had about 3 lines now you use.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for your opening statements. We're going to now turn to our Crossfire segment. Light them up.
All right, so the Kings story is really, really great. I just feel like when you look at the players on the team, there's not that many guys who have a real story. I mean, I guess you can say Sabonis got curb stomped by Draymond Green, but that's about it. I went through a bunch of the guys on the Nuggets, like Jamal Murray, Jeff Green, Jokic. There's a lot of guys on the Denver Nuggets who have a lot of story like leading up to this. The Kings, I feel like the players really don't.
There's a problem. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's very much true. But just because they have a story does not necessarily mean that they are not valid. I mean, let's face it, De'Aaron Fox, if you want to make some story for him, De'Aaron Fox has been staying on this team for his entire career. Nobody even turned a blind eye to him. And now all of a sudden people are looking at him and realizing that he really is a true point guard, a guy who can be an all-star in this league. He won Clutch Player of the Year for a reason. The way they have screwed him over, they hired Luke. They hired Luke Walton. Luke Walton, of all guys, to coach this team, and he still stayed with them. That's a bit of a story. You're right. They don't have these crazy storylines, but I feel that these boring lives, these people that you don't look at, is what makes them clinching the playoffs so special.
That's true. And I mean, Nikola Jokic is pretty. You saw him when everyone's popping champagne, he was standing there like a frat guy. but also when it comes to guys, you talk about De'Aaron Fox, no one really talked about him because he was on such a bad team, and now Kings are good. You're like, oh wait, hold on a minute. He's at the same table as guys like Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard. I look at a guy like Bruce Brown. He's kind of a similar thing. Bruce Brown got really known because he kind of bounced around. He was in Brooklyn. He bounced around. The only thing he was really known for was the starting center on that really small Brooklyn team that also was second round. And now he goes to Denver and he's hitting big three after big three.
Yeah. True. But I want to go back to your statement about Nikola Jokic standing there. kind of like it's you're right. It seemed like he didn't care, and that's the other thing. When you watch the Kings, every game they won, I know they only won 3 games because that was a great 7-game series. Every win meant something to them. They lit that beam so many times, and everyone watching from home was along with them, cheering for them, rooting for them. I feel like the Kings were truly a team that brought everyone together. Even if your team was out of the playoffs, even if your team was in the playoffs, you were a Knicks fan. They got in. My Heat made it to the finals and fell apart. But still, I was rooting for the Kings.
That's true. And look, I'm not gonna lie. I was rooting for the Kings too. I was very sad they lost in the first round. But you see Jokic. I think Jokic is just a story alone. You know, he was some at the end of the day some fat kid from Serbia. That's why he kind of got labeled that. It's not fair, and it's not very nice to say, but that's kind of what I looked at. You know, he wasn't in the greatest of shape, and then he gets drafted over a Taco Bell commercial. That just add insult to injury. They could have at least picked a good restaurant. They picked freaking Taco Bell, and then he was drafted over that very late in the draft. And just he worked really hard to get himself in shape and to become just such a great player. You be able to shoot the 3 at that size, pass the ball the way he does at that size, and just the guy drops 30, 20, and 12 on your head and and then shows up, does that, and goes home. I think that story alone is just, I would say, it's more powerful than the King story.
I don't know, because you need to also, let's look at the history of
4
this
minutes.
playoff drought as a whole. Sacramento Kings have won rebuild after rebuild after rebuild, and they couldn't even touch the playoffs. At least when Denver did things over their 47-year history, they've made a finals, they've made a playoffs. They made ABA finals, but still, they didn't make an NBA finals, but they made the playoffs. Carmelo Anthony led them to a playoffs. You had prime Boogie Cousins, prime DeMarcus Cousins, who Brittany Griner wanted to go one-on-one against.
I don't know that.
And didn't win, and did not, and didn't even touch the playoffs. I just feel that this moment really shows that the Kings finally did something. They finally found a spark in them to where Kings fans or non-Kings fans can look at this team and say, "Wow, here is finally a sign of life."
And that's very true. The Kings were dead in the water for almost 2 decades, and now all of a sudden looks like they're finally doing something. But yes, Denver, they've actually been relevant the last couple of years, but like historically, have they really been that good? I mean, they've had some great players. They had Alex English back in the day, or underrated player. We did nothing with him. Prime Carmelo, people forget, was an absolute monster. You could argue he was just as good, if not better, than the guy that was dropping 50 every game with the Knicks in Denver. And then I'm not even sure if they ever got out of the second round. And now finally, they get Jokic, they get Jamal Murray, and most of these guys are a couple of homegrown guys. And those 2 guys, and you guys he brought in over the last year, like Aaron Gordon, like Bruce Brown, like Jeff Green. I think just like, yes, Sacramento hasn't done a whole lot either, but Denver's kind of in the same though. Outside, in ABA finals, they already have been that great either. They've had some bad teams themselves. I mean, after Carmelo left until probably about 3 or 4 years ago, they were really, really bad too.
Let me throw something out here. Who do you think, from a head coaching standpoint, is what's more impressive? Was the turnaround that Mike Brown was able to do with the Kings, or the fact that I just forgot his name. The coach of the
Michael Malone.
Thank you, Mike Malone got 8 seasons to get this team over the hump and to the NBA Finals. What do you all think is more impressive?
I think it's Mike Brown. Because, Jake, I just want to ask you one quick question before I continue my point.
Right.
Be 100% honest with me.
Okay.
Did you think, even after the Mike Brown pickup, that the Sacramento Kings were going to make the playoffs, let alone be a 3rd seed team?
Maybe play-ins, not the playoffs.
Exactly. So Mike Brown took a team that wasn't even expected to go anywhere and make them make them a team that was a force to be reckoned with. Michael Malone, on the other hand, was given a back-to-back MVP, regarded as one of the greatest centers in the NBA, probably now regarded the greatest NBA player in the world. I don't think it's any question. And I think he got this team to where they were initially supposed to be after countless second-round exits and conference finals exits, I just feel like Michael Malone finally actually did his job.
Look, I can't argue with the job that Mike Brown did. He won Coach of the Year for a reason, but also you gotta admire just the fire that Michael Malone still has. It's very easy to get discouraged when year after year after year you're either out of the playoffs, lose from the second round, you finally get to the conference finals and lose, and he was able to push through. He still remained confident the whole way and was able to take the team to the championship.
And we're going to end it right there on time. Thank you both for that great Crossfire segment. Justin, I'm going to go to you for your closing statement. 2 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so to close out, I want to talk about primarily what the Kings did, what the Kings had to face in these playoffs. They had to face a team who's a championship contender the year before. They were favored to win the championship at that time. If they didn't have to face them, or if they had more playoff experience, they probably would have made it to the Western Conference Finals. As for the Denver Nuggets, their run was not as impressive, if you ask me. The Lakers did all the work for them in beating the Grizzlies. The Heat did all the work for them they beat 2 out of the 3 best teams in the East. They beat the Bucks and the Celtics for them. I just think in general the reason why the Nuggets, this is not the greatest moment, is because they had an easier path compared to the Kings, to where they had 0 playoff experience and made it to a point to where, as I said before, people can be happy with how far they've come. Like the Beam, I concede my time.
All right. Thank you, Justin. You can go on mute. And Jake, your 2-minute closing statement starts now.
All right, so both of the Denver Nuggets winning their first championship in 47 years, and the Kings making the playoffs for the first time in 19 years are just probably equally as impressive. But on the contrary, I do think the Nuggets was more impressive. Yes, they didn't play higher than a 4 seed, but first of all, you play who's in front of you. Okay, that's not on Denver. They earned the right to be the 1 seed by winning the most games in the Western Conference. Therefore, they get the 8 seed, and they ran through Minnesota. In the second round, they played the Phoenix Suns, who were a 4 seed. That's pretty normal. Also, if KD and Booker were together since the beginning of the season, they would have been probably no less than the 2 seed. In the conference finals, if the Lakers were a 7 seed, but if the Lakers had the team that they had from a trade deadline on from day one, they would have probably been at least a 5 seed, and they ran through them. And then yes, Miami was the 8 seed, and they took out the Celtics and the Bucks, who we most likely, one of those two was most likely going to be the team going to the finals, not Miami. But Miami, the team who the year prior was, in the conference finals, and they played like that team, which was really, really good in the postseason. Didn't play like that in the regular, barely snuck out of the play-in, but they in the postseason they flipped the switch. And if they played like the way they did in the playoffs in the regular season, they would have probably been no worse than the 3 seed. So the seeds that the Nuggets played were kind of low, but when you're looking at the teams were actually pretty damn good. So the Denver had a really good run. So many great stories. Jokic going from a fat kid from Serbia to the league's best player and a top 10 center of all time. He's only 28. Jeff Green getting his ring after all the heart issues he had in Boston. Bruce Brown getting his ring after he bounced around the league. Murray getting his ring after he didn't know what was going to happen after he tore his ACL two years ago. Aaron Gordon getting his ring. He was kind of was heart and soul of a team with his defense. Coach Malone,
10 seconds.
47 years is better than 19 years. The Denver Nuggets championship this year was the greatest moment in the NBA this season.
All right. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, gentlemen, for that great contest to wrap up tonight's show. And to the listening audience, I now turn to you for our final vote of the evening on who won, what was the best moment of the 2022-23 NBA season. So let me go ahead and resume this and hit next. Okay, poll is now open. You guys should be able to start voting now.
Well done.
You too, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. You know what, Jake? I think you and I should start a podcast, do it every Friday, call it Jake and Justin in the morning.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, man. You should.
Yeah, great idea. I know,
right?
It's not like we don't do that anyway.
I know, right?
But,
I know, right?
All right, voting is open. Don't forget, you guys can vote for yourselves. Well, let's see here. We have Pat and I can't vote out of neutrality purposes. And I believe I see 6 votes in here. We have 6 listening people. So that is, we can go ahead and end the voting. And with 83% of the vote, our winner in their Light 'em Up debut is Mr. Justin.
Great job, Justin.
Good. Good debate.
Congrats, sir.
Thank you.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Good debate. Well done.
That was a lot of fun. If we ever do that in the townhouse this semester, it's gonna go crazy.
It's gonna go hard.
We definitely gonna make that happen as soon as you guys move in. Like,
Yes, sir.
we got to make it happen.
Yep.
All right. Well, again, thank you, gentlemen, for closing us out on the on tonight's show. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up for the evening, and by just thanking all of our wonderful casters and debaters that came on tonight. RC Milton, Justin, Jake. Gosh, I've been so tied up in here. Okay, yeah, RC Milton, Justin, Jake, Brett, Matt, everybody. Just thank you so much for lending your talents to our listening audience, and to our listening audience, be it here on Twitter Spaces, listening live, or on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you for just offering up your ears and giving us your time to hear these wonderful debates that our casters come on and provide you guys every 2 weeks. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on June 28th, right here, same place, same time, here on Twitter Spaces. Again, my name is Live with David. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank my co-producer Patrick Rush for helping me coordinate the show and getting it all together. And feel free to join our Discord. I dropped it here in the show thread. I don't think pinned it in here, but it's on the show thread. If you want to join the Discord, get in, throw out debate topics, or even maybe be on a potential show. Hop in. We had a debut with Justin tonight, and he won. So you don't have to be a veteran of the show to come on. You could be a newcomer and lend your talents, and you might come away with a victory. And at the end, we always like to have fun and edutain our listening audience. So again, thank you for just letting us entertain you tonight, or wherever you're listening, and may you all have a great evening.